I'm Megan Sperry, and this summer I served as the program director for the Woodstock Film Festival Summer Youth Film Lab. It was the inaugural program, and we had 10 students, ages 14 to 18 from the local area, who served in teams of 3. We had 3 teams. Each team created an original short film. Sam at the end was one of the teens that participated in the program, and over the course of 3 short but long weeks, him and his team created a film called Past the Fear, which was a film where they interviewed adults, like 5 or 6 adults, about their fears, and they had kids from the YMCA in Kingston give them advice on how to deal with their fears.
And we came in on the first day, and basically they had the weeks set into different pieces. So the first week was like pre-production, the second week was shooting, and the third week was editing and post-production. And the next day we came in, and the conversation about children started and how we wanted to do something with kids. So that kind of created like this little piece of it, and then we started talking about adults, and then we got advice from other filmmakers who came in and talked to us, and we ended on this idea of kids giving adults advice, because it doesn't seem like that happens very much.
And sitting next to Sam is Rhoda, who is a subject in the film Somaliland. And that film follows some teenagers in Somaliland who are looking to get into schools in the US. And in just a short amount of time, they go from learning English to filling out college applications for some of the most prestigious schools in the United States. And sitting next to Harry is Enoch, and this is Julie, and they come to us from the film Personal Statement, which followed teens from schools in Brooklyn as they prepared themselves for applying to colleges.
There was this program in New York City that was training high school students to work as peer college counselors in their schools to help everyone in their school apply to college. And so when I learned that students were doing this, I was immediately interested. I thought this would be a great way to understand the systemic barriers that exist to college in this country for low-income students, but that it would be completely inspiring to see it from the perspective of young people who had decided to step up, like Enoch here, and do something about it themselves. Come on in. And I showed up on the first day of the training where 70 young people were being trained, and I said, anyone interested in collaborating on a film, come talk to me. And Enoch was one of the 3 young people who were interested in collaborating and who are the main subjects of the film.
What had happened was I was in a classroom and I was speaking to everyone in the course, in the training, about some type of issue, like some workshop. And then after this woman, Lori, she's like the director of CAR, she came up to me and was like, this woman, Julie, would like to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. So we go in this room, we sit down, and I look at Julie in her face, she looks at me in my eyes, and she goes, tell me about your life. And I'm like, well, 1996, and I go down the list, and I'm like explaining to her middle school and all these crazy stuff. And then at the end, she's like, I would like to make a film about you. Had really no idea what really I was about to get myself into.
Yeah, so I actually spent 3 years in Somaliland helping to set up the school that we were featured in our documentary. It was so apparent that in the US, all coverage of Somalis portrayed them as either monsters or victims. It was either, the pirates or terrorists, or it was about famine and drought, and there were no stories about these great people who, just like everyone else, just wanted the best for themselves and their families and cared about their kids. And so to me, I just knowing these students really well, sort of like Julie kind of approached some of them and just, really said I think we have a chance to share your story and what you're doing, which I think we all think is really historical.
Like Harry
Given
said
where-
already, he approached us and like he was like, "Oh, Rhoda, would you be interested in like being one of the students that would be featured in this documentary?" So it was like 4 years ago, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, let me think through." And like at the first time, I was like, I did not know what I was getting myself into. A way for the students to see what was going on in the school, and also give them the opportunity of like, "Oh, I can actually achieve what students achieved." But also, it was another way for us to empower ourselves and like the community, but also educate people who did not know anything about Somaliland at the time. So it's like, as Harry said, like not many people know where Somaliland even is. So it was like a good way for us to see. So it was very inspiring. But it was very uncomfortable having people follow you with like cameras and stuff. But overall, it was a beautiful journey. Yeah.
And then actually getting to sit down and look at the film and look at the final cuts of it, I get to reflect, you know, on like what I've been through and like what my peers have been through and like what the other characters of the film have been through. And it's like, I call it therapeutic in a sense because you get to see the hardships and the adversity that you faced and you're like, oh, that sucked. But then you also get to see that like you conquer those things, you know? So like later down the road when I'm like going through like silly stuff, you know, I'm like always like get to sit down and like watch the film like, oh wow, like this is like, I did it, I could do it again type of stuff. So I find that to be like, it's like kind of inspirational for myself as well.
You know, we're running an impact campaign with our film. I've got these postcards I'd be happy to share with you all. They have our website on them. The reason why we want folks to go to our website is because we want you to take our survey, especially after you've seen the film. We want input on how can we use this film to have an impact. How can we make sure that it gets in front of as many young people to inspire them, not only to persist to college, but to realize that they too can step up and make a difference in their communities. They can bring about change, but also get it in front of decision makers who can say, you know what, this is crazy. And so we want to spark a conversation about higher ed reform, admissions reform, and of course your film looks at international students and how there are so few schools that are making it possible for international students, I want to plug yours too, to afford to go to college in the United States. So we want you to take our survey, we want you to give us your feedback and let us know who should see it, how can we get it in front of them. We have a broadcast on October 23rd on public television. You can get information also on personalstatementfilm.com about how to watch. So help us spread the word. The more people see it, the bigger impact it can have. And then also join us. We want to fill the college guidance gap.